guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. So just recently I got a new addition to my arm. If you haven't been on Instagram or Twitter, you may not have seen it. It was kind of popping up in my last video, but not so much. But I did recently get a brand new tattoo on my arm. It's a fruit bat with a whole bunch of fruit. And it got me thinking a little bit about the tattoo healing process. I've talked before about how I heal my tattoos, done several update videos, but I was thinking about the tattoo process and how if you've never experienced the tattoo healing process before, you may not know what's considered normal, what's a little abnormal, what to expect from it. So for today's video, I thought I would discuss a little bit about the tattoo healing process and what to expect and the different phases that your tattoo goes through during this healing time period. And yes, the tattoo healing process does kind of go through phases. I'd say there are at least 3, maybe 4 phases, depending on how you look at the first phase. But I thought I would just kind of briefly discuss what you can expect during the time that your tattoo is healing. So first and foremost, a tattoo can take 2 to 3 weeks to initially heal, but it can take several months afterwards for the entire thing to be completely healed. The duration of how long it takes your tattoo to heal kind of depends on several factors, such as, first of all, your body and what it's capable of healing in a period of time, as well as the size of the tattoo, as well as the placement. Sometimes color options can also lead to whether or not a tattoo takes longer to heal. There's a lot of different factors that play into it. So, phase 1, and this is where you might consider phase 1 as 2 separate phases. I'm, for the sake of this, gonna consider it as 1 phase. The first thing that you should expect happens within the first 12 to 24 hours. That is a lot of oozing and liquid and a whole bunch of nasty just piling up around your tattoo. You'll notice things like blood and lymphatic fluid and plasma and even ink sloughing off from your skin, and it's all mixing together and it's really disgusting. It's kind of fun if you have either Tegaderm or Sanoderm on your tattoo. You can usually see it all pooling together and it's really disgusting, but it's also kind of nifty. But you can also see all of this mixing together for those first 12 to 24 hours after you get a tattoo. And this is the time where you're gonna wash it. You're probably not gonna wash it for several hours after you get the tattoo. I know I personally can't touch it that night. I've gotten so used to using Sanoderm now that we weren't able to use it on my bat here because just of where the bend in my wrist is, where the bend in my elbow is, it wasn't sticking. And I wasn't able to clean it for the first, I don't know, 8 hours afterwards because I always get this weird tattoo sickness after I've gotten it done. Just touching it, even if it's to wash it, makes me really lightheaded and feel really sick. So didn't get to see all that lymphatic fluid directly afterwards. During phase 1, you will notice a lot of oozing. Don't know why ooze is the word of the week for me, sorry. But you will notice quite a bit of oozing. Oozing is normal. However, you don't want it to pile up on your tattoo because that can suffocate your tattoo. So you do want to make sure that you're washing your tattoo thoroughly, getting off that fluid buildup that you may notice around your tattoo. You don't want it to sit there for too long. You will also notice that your tattoo is incredibly red and incredibly swollen during this time, also completely normal. Now I will say that if the swelling and the redness last longer than phase 1, you might want to get it checked out, but during that phase 1 time, especially depending on the size and the placement of the tattoo, you will find that redness and swelling are just part of the package. So phase 1 does take place for roughly a week after getting the tattoo, maybe 5 to 7 days, again depending on your body, depending on the size of the tattoo, depending on the placement. Those all play key roles in how long it'll take your tattoo to heal and how long you kind of sit in each phase. I will say that I personally have noticed that redness typically subsides after about 3 days. Not standard for everyone, but that's just kind of been my average. By that 3rd, 4th day, the redness is gone. The swelling may not be gone, but the redness is gone. And you can, even if you get a colorful tattoo, you can see around the outer part redness. You may also feel heat coming off of your tattoo during this time. Also normal. It's part of the swelling and the redness. I will say the heat doesn't typically last long, but even now, this area is warm compared to say this area, but I also did just wash this and put moisturizer on it. So moving on to phase 2. This typically lasts about 7 to 14 days after getting your tattoo. So roughly that second week of having your tattoo. This to me is the worst part of the tattoo. And it's because my tattoos, I don't know what it is, they become so itchy. This is the phase where you'll notice flakiness, your tattoo will feel itchy, scabs may even begin to form, and there's nothing wrong with little tiny scabs. Like if you could see close enough on my tattoo, my grapes down here have a little bit more scabbing than the rest of the tattoo, but there are like little patches of just tiny scabs. Those are fine. Do not pick at your scabs or at the flakes. Do not itch your tattoo. As much as it pains me to say that, because believe me, when mine start itching, all I wanna do is scratch it, but you can't. Now, if you find the itching intolerable, much like I often do, there are several ways to kind of deal with it. The first one is you can tap the tattoo. So if you're finding that it's itching, doing something like can help alleviate the itch. Another method that I've found that works pretty well, though you do have to be very careful, is that you can take your tattoo, obviously, and take like the backs of your fingernails and just kind of do this with them, but very lightly. Do not press down into it. Don't go the opposite direction where the fingernail could catch on something, but going backwards with your fingernails can really help alleviate some of that itch. Like I mentioned, do not peel off your scabs because this can actually compromise the integrity of your tattoo. It can lift ink away. You'll find that there are patches missing from your tattoo. That's because a scab may have pulled up the ink. Obviously you don't want that. And then there is phase 3. This is usually 15 to 30 plus days after getting your tattoo done. So this is the start of the 3rd week and then moving on. Essentially, this is the final stage of healing when it comes to your tattoo, though your tattoo does take a little bit longer to heal. This is the last phase of it being noticeable. At this time, the itchiness and the flakiness from phase 2 should be gone, or at least on its last leg. During this phase, you may notice that your tattoo doesn't pop nearly as much as it did in the beginning. Also completely normal for your tattoo to look dull, even though it's not. You may also notice that the tattoo area is still sore. Also completely normal. Like for me, most of the tattoo doesn't feel sore at this point until I get to about here. This is incredibly sore. So again, it depends on your placement. It depends on how large the tattoo is. There are a lot of factors that play into it. But you will notice during phase 3 that there might still be some areas of soreness. However, I will also say that it is completely normal to not experience soreness during phase 3. So please don't think, oh my God, I don't feel any soreness. Is something wrong? No, it just depends on a lot of factors, including what your body is able to process and deal with. So how long does a tattoo actually take to heal? We've talked about the different phases and usually their timelines, but after that 3rd phase, is it really completely healed? It's kind of hard to say because everybody is different. Everyone heals at different rates. It's much like getting a piercing done. You can say that typically it's healed between this time and this time, but that's not always the case. It's even harder to determine whether or not a tattoo is healed because while it may appear to have healed on the surface, you do have to think about all the layers of skin that the tattoo gun had to get to in order to get the ink into the skin. Because if it was just at surface level, it would slough off pretty easily. There would be no tattoo after that first layer of skin is gone. So it's more difficult to tell because while the surface appears healed, it may take longer for under the surface to completely heal. Something to keep in mind when it comes to tattoo aftercare is making sure that you use fragrance-free soap as well as lotion. You don't want to use anything with fragrance in it. Dr. Bronner's like Castile soap, it's like the baby formula, is probably my favorite soap of choice. It's gentle, there's no fragrance. It's also what most of the tattoo shops in my area use, so I figure it's a pretty good option. It's also cruelty-free. When it comes to drying your tattoos, make sure that you don't rub them at any point. You need to blot them because if you rub them, you can pull those scabs up and you don't want to do that. You also want to use something that's more disposable like paper towels because if you use just a regular towel, even if it's clean, it could harbor bacteria. Make sure to keep your tattoo hydrated, but don't over moisturize your tattoo, because this could basically drown your tattoo, and you don't want to do that either. If you're suffocating your tattoo in moisturizer, it doesn't get a chance to breathe and it may not heal correctly. So you don't want it to get dried out, but you don't want to just like slap on lotion just because it feels dry. A good tip that I have found for healing tattoos is to either take a multivitamin if you aren't already. This could really help at least your body heal from essentially the trauma that you've placed upon it, as well as to up your vitamin C. I personally take vitamin C gummies. The packaging says that the serving size is like 3 gummies. While I'm going through a healing process, I typically take 6 at a time. Is the reason why I go through those bottles really fast. Also, those gummies are delicious. And since I just recently fractured 2 of my ribs and got a tattoo, you know, it just kind of makes sense to take that many vitamin C gummies because I am trying to get this body back to where it was. So those are just the phases that I personally have experienced, as well as I know other people have experienced when healing a tattoo. Also, just some tips that I have found personally to be helpful along the way. Let me know in the comments below typically how long you feel your tattoos take to heal. Again, everybody is different, so you may find that yours take longer, yours take shorter. You enter a certain phase quicker or slower than the guidelines or the timelines depict. Tell us about your experience. This is basically my experience and then just hearing what others have said, so like an average. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go on down there and hit that subscribe button wherever it may be, because I don't know, even though I do. This is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.